Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
Bear. Man is scary.
With a bear.
What I've heard about bears, they don't always attack you, right? Unless you like fuck with them. So maybe a bear.
Depends what man, but probably a bear.
Oh, 100% a bear, which is like terrifying to say, but
Definitely a bear. Some men are very scary out there.
A bear.
I would say a man.
Ah, the great man v. bear question. The newest dumb thought experiment sweeping the interwebs. What does it show about our society? What does it reveal about our collective psyche? Well, to me, it shows that your average woman is unfortunately horribly brainwashed by feminism and has been taught by media, the government, and the public education system to be pathologically afraid of men, to demonize the male sex. Because of the ideology of feminism, every woman is conditioned to see every man as a potential threat. And this pathological ideology of feminism has proliferated out from the ivory tower, out from academia, to even the smallest and most basic elements of society. To your average girl on TikTok, who you wouldn't know from Adam, or Eve in this case. But there's more to this conversation than your average woman's initial response to the question. This conversation is more about women justifying their answer than it is the answer itself. Let's dive right in.
There's a trend going around right now where women are asking their male partners if they would rather the woman be stuck in the woods with a random man or a bear.
Would you rather me be stuck in the woods with a bear or a random man?
Man.
Most men are questioning why women are answering bear, and why women would prefer to be stuck in the woods with a bear than a random man. But while there are many, many reasons, here are just a few why I would personally choose bear. Shanann Watts and her children were murdered by her husband, Chris Watts. Lacey Peterson and her unborn child were murdered by her husband, Scott Peterson. Gabby Petito was murdered by her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie. Hannah Clark and her children were murdered by her estranged husband, Rowan Baxter. Anna Walsh was murdered by her husband, Brian Walsh. Jennifer Farber-Dulos was murdered by her ex-husband, Fotis Dulos. Grace Mullane was murdered by her Tinder date, Shane Kempson. And Suzanne Morphew was allegedly murdered by her husband, Barry Morphew. Meanwhile, there have been only 180 fatal bear attacks in North America in the last 240 years. But that's just a few reasons why I would pick bear. It's not all men, but there are many.
So the behavior of a few evil men is being projected, being imparted, being imputed onto the entire male sex by modern women. The hashtag not all men right at the end really doesn't make up for any of this. And you see that caveat in a lot of these posts of this nature on social media where they're willing to acknowledge that not all men are like this, but they're still trying to say all men are really like this, and that's why they'd rather be with a bear. I mean, this really just typifies the growing antipathy and hostility that your average woman has toward your average man or towards men generally. But let's dig deeper and get an example of this hatred on full display.
Are y'all realizing that myself and other women are saying bear because we would quite literally rather die? And then we have some people saying, well, not all bears, just because one bear did it doesn't mean that all bears would do it. You shouldn't be scared of all bears. Let's get a lineup of bears and you show me which one I should be fucking scared of. In this Target right now, you point out to me which men I should and should not be fucking scared of. Well, I don't know. Exactly. At least a bear wouldn't fucking show videos and photos and dap up their buddies after. At least a bear couldn't say the words, well, she liked it, she asked for it. A bear would probably leave you alone even after you were dead. To get most bears to leave you alone, all you have to do is scream loud enough. Can't say the same. Women are asking their guy best friends, their boyfriends, their husbands, their fucking fathers, and they're all saying the same thing. Why do you think that is? Bears don't grasp the concept of wrong and right, but you know who does. At least a bear didn't pretend to be your friend for months beforehand just to get what it wanted in the end.
It really is astounding the victim complex that so many women have in this society today, that one bad experience that one woman has with a man that she tells all of her friends about becomes the standard by which all women view the male sex entirely. Like, I remember feeling in high school that, because it was really the rise of like third wave feminism and all that, that was really coming into prominence, that even though I was trying to be like an ally, because I grew up in a left-wing area, I was trying to be an ally, I was trying to be supportive, that even though I'd never hurt a woman in my life, I would never lay my hands on a woman, etc., that they just viewed me as an enemy, like inherently. Not based on anything I did, but just based on the fact that I was a man. And this is yet another manifestation of the same ideology. Women today view themselves as being able to do literally anything a man can do, view men as unnecessary for the maintenance of civilization, that men really don't have a place in society, because again, there's nothing a man can do that a woman can't do. So men are just either wallets or sperm donors, or a potential threat in this case. There is no positive contribution in women's minds that men can give to society. There's literally no reason that we're here. We're just like a liability. We're holding them back, according to feminism. And what's worse is that the women who promote this ideology aren't even really putting their money where their mouth is. Men collectively are just on the receiving end of this slow drip of hatred and contempt. And I really feel sorry for the boyfriends who have to sit there and have their girlfriend ask them this question. It would be intolerable for me. I could never be with a woman who is that mentally ill.
You know what? She's absolutely right. There's no reason why anyone should feel a type of way if a woman decides to pick a bear over a man, because it's just a hypothetical question. It's not that serious. The women who say they would rather be alone with a bear than a man are absolutely justified in feeling that way, because there's a lot of evidence of men doing evil, horrible things to women. Now, of course, it's not all men, but it is some men, and the women who chose bear were smart enough not to take any chances and just be cautious of all men. I do kind of think it's a little weird that after seeing all these women on social media say they would rather be alone in the woods with a bear than with a man, I'm not hearing about any mass movements of women moving out to the woods where the bears are at. They're still choosing to stay at home in their cities where all the scary men are, but I mean, it's just a hypothetical, so it's not that deep. It is a little weird though that women in relationships with men are saying that they would rather be alone in the woods with a bear and not a man, but then they choose to be alone with a man, not a bear, every single day. But again, it is just a hypothetical, so they can say whatever they want. It's not that deep. And it is a little weird though that there are women out there who have fathers, brothers, male friends, sneaky links, and one-night stands that they spend a lot of alone time with, and they don't really spend a lot of alone time with bears. And yet they still claim that they would rather be alone in the woods with a bear than with a man. But again, it is just a hypothetical, so truth be told, it's really not that serious. Women should choose the bear over the man because, like they say, men are really scary and bears are predictable. Even though 99.9% of the women who say they would rather be alone with a bear than a man actually choose to be alone with men every single day, they're still allowed to answer this hypothetical question however they feel. Because ladies, your feelings are valid.
He had me in the first half, not gonna lie. I thought this was a male simp defending these feminist modern women's choices before I saw the whole thing. But he makes a fantastic point. Your average woman is basically entirely ungrateful for the various services that men provide for society. Women have been taught to be ungrateful, to be selfish, to not appreciate any of the things men do. When a woman says a woman can do anything that a man can do, really what she's saying is that she doesn't feel grateful for anything that men have done. Because the fact of the matter is, women can't actually simply do anything a man can do. They can't just build civilization like men can build civilization. A lot of this anger and this contempt that we see these modern women expressing toward men is perhaps in part caused by the fact that they now feel that the onus is on them to continue to maintain society. And they're like, well, why are men even here? because they've been thrust into the modern workplace to compete as equals with men, they probably now feel some of the pressures and responsibilities, and then that's enough to make a lot of them snap. That, coupled with all the media programming, all the stuff you see on social media, and all the stuff you learn in public school, is enough for them to have a huge chip on their shoulder and just hate men outright.
If I survive the bear attack, I won't have to see the bear at family reunions. The worst thing the bear can do is kill me. The bear sees me as a human being. After what those men did to that monitor lizard, the bears are not safe with men either. The bear doesn't get enjoyment out of it. The bear didn't pretend to be my friend for months beforehand. No one will say that I liked the bear attack. No one will talk about the bear's bright future. If the bear and the man both want to hurt me and I scream loud enough, there's a better chance that the bear will actually run away. A bear wouldn't film it and send it to all his friends. The men getting angry at this don't realize that there are fates worse than death. Ask Junko Furuta, Sadie Robinson, Shanann Watts if they would choose the man or the bear.
The biggest victim complex I have ever seen. And this is going to persist forever because men committing more physical offenses against women than women committing physical offenses against men is unfortunately just a part of the human condition. We can minimize it, we can mitigate it, we can reduce it, but we can't eradicate it. And to expect men to just apologize for the entire male sex, for who they are inherently, forever, indefinitely, as these insane women want men to do, is poisonous and evil. I have never once in my entire life contributed to a social climate where any of those cases, like the one she listed, the behavior of any of those men in the cases she listed was acceptable. I have never once endorsed or promoted that type of behavior, and neither has the overwhelming majority of men. And unfortunately, this deranged mindset that this woman and so many other modern women have is going to escalate and escalate and escalate over the years in the near future until they think you and I need to be castrated. Until they literally think every man has to be a literal whipped beta slave for them to feel safe. What a lot of the center-left men who are sympathetic to these women's answers, the sort of male feminist lights of the world, what a lot of them don't understand is that there are no amount of apologies or no amount of times that they can prostrate themselves before these women that will ever make them stop hating men. Because feminism is a poison. A subversive poison, which came out of the ivory tower, has gone viral on TikTok and social media, and is turning all women against all men.
The saddest part about the whole man versus bear conversation is that men still don't get it. They still don't get it. I just watched a video of a guy with some AI graphics of bears in the forest, and he's going, wow, this bear in the forest, the likelihood of him attacking a woman, just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Do men know when to sit down? It's so painful to watch as a woman asks her own husband, would you rather choose a man or a bear in the forest? And for him to say very calmly that he would choose a bear. To have no discussion whatsoever, and then to even make jokes about it afterwards. 1 in 6 women are assaulted in their lifetime. A feeling that a man will never understand. So if you're a man out there who doesn't understand that this isn't about bears attacking women in the forest, this isn't about your National Geographic studies about bears because you watched a lot of it on TV. It's not your expertise on how bears act. It's about how men act towards women. It's about how women are being assaulted by men. It's how women would rather choose being with a bear than being tortured by a man. and then being shamed and blamed for the attack afterwards and not even being believed. Do you understand the conversation? Or do you think this is about fucking bears?
Women like this, who think like this woman thinks, are actually delusional and mentally ill. She has been radicalized against the entire male sex. Think about that. Think about hating another group of people as much as this woman hates men. And unfortunately, she's given a voice and she's given a platform, and this poisonous message continues to spread. And did you hear that? Did you catch that right in the middle of that TikTok? Something a man will never understand. Like there aren't men in prison who experience the same thing. Come on now. There's also this delusional assumption that this woman has that women are never believed ever. If any woman comes forward, she's just going to be shamed and blamed. Like, what a disempowering story to tell young women who actually are assaulted. And what a perfidious lie, too. In all of my experience, and I've had a couple times throughout my entire life where there have been incidents where I've known that a woman has accused a man of assaulting her. The woman was believed by most people. Like it's just a complete falsehood that this is the general experience that women are never believed. It's a complete lie. Women ruin men's reputations with accusations. And I'm not saying that any of the women I knew in my life were necessarily liars, but this is a fact about the human experience. Women ruin men's reputations with these type of accusations when nothing of the sort ever happened. I also know plenty of other women who did lie, who made stuff up. Do these delusional feminists ever want to talk about that or address that? Of course not.
One of my favorite creators on this app, White Woman Whisperer, posed a sub-question to the man versus bear question, which was, Black women, you are alone in a conference room. Who do you want to walk in? A white man or a white woman? And the answer overwhelmingly has been white man. And there are a lot of white women in the comments, angry, vitriolic, that she dared pose this question, that the answer dare be men instead of women, because we want to think of ourselves as better, right? I just want to ask you, I want to invite you to this. If you are mad about that question, if you are feeling vitriolic about people saying that white women are doing as much harm as white men, where do you feel that in your body? Where is that coming up for you? If you are angry about this, if you are feeling powerful emotions about that, where are you feeling that? Because that is where you are holding misogyny and racism in your body. And deconstruction is not just a matter of the mind, it's a matter of processing it in your body. That's an invitation to learn about yourself.
Okay, now that that was interesting. That was not what I was expecting from that TikTok. How do you feel about that? I really want some feedback on this. I find it kind of interesting that black women would choose white men over white women. I guess all those white feminists, all their allyship to black women has just been thrown in the toilet because black women feel safer around white men. How do you feel about that? How does the right interpret that? Interesting response.
So the consensus is in about women trapped in the woods alone if they would choose a bear or a man. And the majority have said a bear because they just don't feel safe with men. And I agree. So tell me why most of you same women want a biological male to be able to use the same restroom as your daughter.
When you look at the leftist response to how men have been poking holes in this question, in this narrative that's been crafted on social media, you can clearly see it's not about logic or consistency or exposing how women really feel. It's about demonizing men. That is all this question has ever been about.
So the whole man versus bear in the woods thing is wild because 10 times out of 10 times, the woman is picking the bear. It's always the bear. We are picking the bear. And we are explaining our reasoning. And we are giving good reasons. And we all have different reasons, and a lot of them overlap or are the same, that we're all just explaining differently. My number one reason is because people would believe that I was mauled by a bear. And we're coming on here and we're giving our reasoning. And it's funny. A lot of these videos are funny, and I'm loving it. But we're missing the point. The point of this whole exercise, right, is the fact that we're giving these videos, we're doing these videos, we're telling you our reasoning, we're giving rational, reasonable responses to this question that is clearly a silly question. But men are coming after us for these videos. They're coming after us for our responses, and they are mad, and they're angry, and they're telling us we're wrong, and they're telling us we're irrational, and they're doing it in a furious fashion, right? They are stitching these videos, they are angry, they are yelling at us, they are telling us they're irrational, and they are proving our point. We are telling them something. We are choosing our side, we are telling them why, and they are not listening. They are telling us we're wrong, they're telling us that we're irrational, and they are telling us that angrily, mad, furious at how wrong they think we are. What point do they think that proves to us? Why do they think that changes our minds about who we want to be alone with in the woods in any way, shape, or form?
The thing is, the reasons that these women are giving for why they would choose the bear over the man are not rational or reasonable. This whole thing has been an exercise in demonizing and denigrating men. That's it. And of course, when your average man becomes justifiably angry that he's being compared to Richard Ramirez or Jeffrey Dahmer, women are just going to use that against men. Right? There's no right answer here as a man. So what we've learned from all this, from this social media controversy, is that in this day and age, you cannot object to how women feel at all as a man. If you do, then you're part of the problem. Women are totally justified in every single opinion and belief that they have, and as a man, you should just accept the fact that you're irredeemably evil. Anyway, that's it for this video, and Red Channels will catch you in the next one.